If you have diabetes or are trying to manage rising blood sugar, fruit can feel confusing. One source tells you fruit is natural and healthy. Another warns that fruit is full of sugar and should be avoided. After hearing both messages, many seniors are left unsure what to put on their plate. The truth is more balanced than either extreme. Fruit contains natural sugars, yes, but it also provides fiber, vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and plant compounds that support overall health. The key is not whether fruit contains sugar. The key is how that sugar behaves in the body. As we age, insulin sensitivity often decreases. Muscles may not use glucose as efficiently as they once did. Blood sugar can rise more quickly after meals. That makes food choices more important, especially at breakfast and in the evening. Completely eliminating fruit is rarely necessary. At the same time, assuming that all fruit is automatically safe in unlimited amounts is also inaccurate. Different fruits affect blood sugar differently. Some release glucose gradually. Others can cause sharper spikes, especially when eaten alone or in large portions. Understanding this difference allows you to make informed decisions instead of fearful ones. Before we continue, if you value clear, research-informed guidance designed specifically for adults over 60, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and tap the bell icon so you don't miss future discussions focused on healthy aging and steady blood sugar management. In this video, we will examine 10 fruits that tend to support stable blood sugar when eaten appropriately, and 5 fruits that require more careful portion control. The goal is not restriction. It is awareness. With the right information, fruit can remain part of a balanced and enjoyable diet, even when managing diabetes. 2 fruits may taste equally sweet, yet their effects on glucose levels can be very different. Sweetness alone does not determine impact. The real distinction lies in how the body processes each one. The key to evaluating which fruits are more supportive and which require caution rests in 2 scientific measures: glycemic index and glycemic load. Together, they reveal why taste and appearance rarely tell the whole story. The glycemic index, often called GI, measures how quickly a food raises blood sugar after it is eaten. Foods are ranked on a scale from low to high. A lower glycemic index means the food causes a slower, more gradual rise in blood glucose. A higher glycemic index means glucose enters the bloodstream more rapidly. However, glycemic index alone does not tell the full story. It measures how fast sugar rises, but not how much total carbohydrate is in a typical serving. That is where glycemic load, or GL, becomes important. Glycemic load takes both speed and portion size into account. It reflects the real-world impact of eating a normal serving of a food. For example, a fruit may have a moderate glycemic index, but a low glycemic load if the carbohydrate content per serving is small. Fiber also plays a major role. Fruits that contain more fiber tend to slow digestion. Slower digestion means glucose enters the bloodstream more gradually, which reduces sharp spikes. Whole fruit behaves very differently from fruit juice for this reason. Juice removes most of the fiber, allowing sugar to be absorbed much more quickly. Another important factor is ripeness. As fruit ripens, starch converts to sugar. A very ripe banana, for example, may raise blood sugar more quickly than one that is slightly firm. For seniors managing diabetes, the goal is not to fear fruit. It is to understand how to choose wisely and control portions. When fruit is paired with protein or healthy fats, blood sugar response is often steadier. Now that you understand how glycemic index and glycemic load work together, we can begin exploring the first group of fruits that tend to be better tolerated in moderate portions. Let's begin with 4 fruits that tend to have a more favorable effect on blood sugar when eaten in reasonable portions. Starting at number 10 is the pear. Pears contain soluble fiber, particularly pectin, which helps slow digestion and moderate the release of glucose into the bloodstream. Because of this fiber content, pears generally have a low to moderate glycemic impact. Eating a small to medium pear with the skin intact provides the greatest benefit, as much of the fiber is found in the peel. At number 9 is the apple. Like pears, apples are rich in pectin and other plant compounds that support steady glucose absorption. When eaten whole, apples tend to produce a gradual rise in blood sugar rather than a sharp spike. However, apple juice behaves very differently. Without fiber, the sugar is absorbed quickly. For blood sugar control, whole apples are preferable to juice. Number 8 is passion fruit. Although it tastes sweet, passion fruit contains a significant amount of fiber relative to its carbohydrate content. This helps moderate its glycemic load. It also contains vitamin C and plant compounds that contribute antioxidant support. Because it is typically eaten in small quantities, its overall glucose impact tends to remain manageable. At number 7 is the whole orange. Oranges often get criticized because they taste sweet, but whole oranges contain fiber that slows sugar absorption. The key word here is whole. Orange juice removes the fiber and concentrates the sugar, leading to a faster glucose rise. Eating a fresh orange, rather than drinking juice, makes a meaningful difference. Portion control remains important. A standard serving of fruit is generally about 1 medium piece or roughly half to 1 cup of cut fruit. Pairing fruit with protein, such as a handful of nuts or a serving of yogurt, can further stabilize blood sugar response. These 4 fruits demonstrate an important principle. Sweetness alone does not determine metabolic impact. Fiber content, portion size, and food form all matter. Beyond the initial group, there are 4 additional fruits that offer supportive qualities when portion sizes remain thoughtful. While they require a bit more awareness, they are often well tolerated in moderate amounts and can fit comfortably into a balanced, diabetes-friendly plan. At number 6 is kiwi. Kiwi contains vitamin C, fiber, and beneficial plant compounds that support overall metabolic health. Its glycemic index is relatively low, and because a typical serving is small, its glycemic load remains moderate. Eating 1 kiwi as part of a meal or alongside protein can provide nutrients without causing sharp glucose spikes. Number 5 is strawberries. Berries in general tend to have a lower glycemic impact compared to many tropical fruits. Strawberries contain fiber and antioxidants that support vascular health. A half cup to 1 cup of fresh strawberries is usually a reasonable serving. As with other fruits, whole berries are preferable to sweetened strawberry products or juices. At number 4 is guava. Guava contains fiber and vitamin C and has been studied for its potential supportive role in glucose regulation. When eaten whole and in moderate portions, guava tends to produce a gradual rise in blood sugar. Removing the peel may slightly reduce fiber content, so if tolerated well, eating the fruit with the skin can enhance its benefits. At number 3 is avocado. Although often grouped with vegetables, avocado is technically a fruit. It stands out because it is very low in carbohydrates and high in healthy fats and fiber. Avocado has minimal impact on blood sugar and can even help moderate glucose response when paired with higher carbohydrate foods. Its healthy fats also support heart health, which is especially important for individuals managing diabetes. Even with these supportive fruits, portion awareness remains essential. Eating fruit alone in large quantities may still raise glucose levels more than desired. Combining fruit with protein or healthy fats slows digestion and supports steadier blood sugar patterns. The final 2 fruits in the supportive group are peaches and cherries, both often enjoyed in season and appreciated for their flavor. While they can fit into a balanced plan, portion size remains especially important to maintain steady blood sugar levels. At number 2 are peaches. Fresh peaches have a moderate glycemic index and contain fiber, vitamins, and antioxidants. When eaten whole and in reasonable portions, they tend to produce a gradual rise in blood sugar rather than a sharp spike. 1 medium peach or about 1 cup of sliced peaches is typically considered a balanced serving. Peaches also contain plant compounds that may support vascular health. While no fruit alone prevents complications, maintaining a pattern of nutrient-dense foods contributes to overall metabolic stability. As with other fruits, pairing peaches with protein, such as cottage cheese, yogurt, or a handful of nuts, can further steady glucose response. At number 1 are cherries. Cherries are often well tolerated in moderate amounts because of their fiber content and relatively modest glycemic load. They also contain anthocyanins, natural pigments with antioxidant properties. Antioxidant support contributes to vascular health, which is particularly important for individuals managing diabetes. A standard serving of cherries is about 1 cup, which contains roughly 15 to 20 cherries depending on size. Portion control remains key. Dried cherries, however, are much more concentrated in sugar and should be consumed cautiously, if at all. Both peaches and cherries demonstrate the central principle we've discussed throughout this section. Fruit can remain part of a diabetes-friendly plan when portions are controlled and choices are thoughtful. Now that we've covered the 10 fruits that tend to be more manageable for blood sugar, let's examine 5 fruits that require greater caution and careful portion awareness. Not all fruit behaves the same way in the body. Some varieties contain higher natural sugar concentrations or lower fiber content, which can cause blood glucose to rise more quickly. That does not make these fruits bad, but it does mean portion size becomes especially important. Mango is one example. Mango contains valuable vitamins and antioxidants, yet it also carries a higher carbohydrate load per serving. A large mango can contain a significant amount of natural sugar. For individuals managing diabetes, limiting mango to small portions. Pineapple follows a similar pattern. Fresh pineapple provides vitamin C and beneficial plant compounds, but it is relatively high in natural sugars. Because it is easy to eat quickly and in larger quantities, mindful serving sizes are essential. Combining pineapple with protein or healthy fats may help moderate its glucose effect. Bananas are widely consumed and convenient, yet their impact depends greatly on ripeness. As bananas ripen, starch converts to sugar. A very ripe banana will typically raise blood sugar more rapidly than one that is slightly firm. Choosing smaller bananas and pairing them with protein can help reduce the glycemic effect. Papaya is another tropical fruit that is naturally sweet. While it contains beneficial nutrients, its carbohydrate density means it should be eaten in modest portions. Half a cup rather than a full bowl is a more appropriate serving for those monitoring blood sugar closely. Grapes can also raise glucose quickly because they are small and easy to eat in large numbers. A handful may be reasonable, but mindless snacking on grapes can unintentionally increase total sugar intake. Measuring portions rather than eating directly from the bag makes a difference. The common theme with these fruits is not elimination, it is awareness. Higher natural sugar concentration requires greater portion control. The next consideration is often overlooked entirely: dried fruit and the effect of ripeness on glucose response. Those factors can change the way fruit behaves in the body more than many people realize. Another factor that significantly changes how fruit affects blood sugar is concentration. Dried fruit may look small, but the drying process removes water and leaves the natural sugars highly concentrated. What once filled a cup when fresh may shrink into just a few bites when dried. For example, fresh grapes become raisins. The water content disappears, but the sugar remains. It becomes very easy to consume the equivalent of several servings of fruit in just a small handful. Because fiber remains but volume decreases, portion awareness becomes much more difficult. This does not mean dried fruit must be completely eliminated. However, for individuals working to stabilize blood sugar, dried fruit is generally best treated as an occasional food rather than a daily staple. When eaten, it should be measured carefully and ideally paired with protein or fat to reduce rapid absorption. Ripeness also matters more than many people realize. As fruit ripens, Natural starches convert into simple sugars. A slightly firm banana behaves differently than one that's very soft and spotted. The same principle applies to mangoes, peaches, and even pears. Sweeter taste is often a signal of higher sugar availability. Choosing fruit that is ripe but not overly soft can help moderate glucose impact. Another important distinction is whole fruit versus juice. Juice removes fiber, allowing sugar to enter the bloodstream more rapidly. Even 100% fruit juice can produce a sharper glucose rise compared to whole fruit. The structure of the food influences how the body responds. Fiber slows digestion, water adds volume, intact fruit requires chewing, which also slows intake. These small details make measurable differences. There is one fruit that often confuses people because it tastes refreshing and light but behaves differently than expected. That fruit deserves its own clarification. Watermelon often creates confusion because it tastes light and refreshing. Many people assume that because it contains so much water, it must have little effect on blood sugar. The reality is more nuanced. Watermelon has a relatively high glycemic index, meaning it can raise blood glucose more quickly than some other fruits. However, its glycemic load in a small portion is not extremely high because it contains a large amount of water per serving. The issue arises when portion size increases. It is easy to eat several large slices in one sitting, especially during warm weather. What feels like a light snack can quickly become a significant carbohydrate load. A modest portion, roughly 1 cup of diced watermelon, eating it slowly and pairing it with protein, such as a handful of nuts or yogurt, can help stabilize glucose response. Watermelon is not harmful. It simply requires awareness. The same principles apply: portion size, pairing with other nutrients, and understanding how your own body responds. Monitoring your blood sugar after trying different fruits can provide personal insight. Two individuals may respond differently to the same portion. Your meter gives you information tailored to your metabolism. With that clarified, it becomes easier to design a practical and sustainable fruit strategy that supports steady glucose levels without unnecessary restriction. Managing blood sugar does not require removing fruit from your life. It requires structure. Begin with portion awareness. A single serving of fruit is usually 1 medium piece, or about half to 1 cup of cut fruit. Eating directly from large containers or bags makes it easy to lose track of intake. Measuring at first helps retrain your eye. Pair fruit with protein or healthy fat whenever possible. Adding nuts, seeds, yogurt, cottage cheese, or a small amount of nut butter slows digestion and reduces the likelihood of rapid glucose spikes. This simple adjustment often makes more difference than the fruit choice itself. Timing also matters. Some people tolerate fruit better earlier in the day when activity levels are higher. Others do well including fruit as part of a balanced lunch. Eating fruit alone late at night may produce higher morning readings in certain individuals. Observing patterns in your own glucose response is more useful than following rigid rules. Variety is beneficial. Rotating lower to moderate glycemic fruits such as berries, apples, pears, cherries, kiwi, and small portions of citrus allows you to enjoy flavor while maintaining control. Higher sugar fruits like mango, pineapple, banana, papaya, grapes, and watermelon can still fit into your diet, but in smaller, measured portions. Whole fruit should always be prioritized over juice. Juice removes fiber and concentrates sugar, leading to faster absorption. Even unsweetened juice behaves differently than intact fruit. The goal is balance, not fear. Fruit provides antioxidants, vitamins, and fiber that support overall health, including cardiovascular function. Removing it entirely often leads to unnecessary restriction and reduced dietary quality. If this discussion has been helpful, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and tap the bell icon so you can continue receiving clear, research-informed guidance designed specifically for adults over 60. Small adjustments practiced consistently create meaningful long-term stability.